So, I was reading scary stories on the internet tonight, and now I cannot go to sleep. I cannot fall asleep. And I thought, let's read from the Earthsea Quartet by Ursula Le Guin, because nothing makes me feel better than a bit of fantasy. I borrowed this book from my friend Ben, and I think it's my book now because okay. Jesus Christ. I destroyed this book and this door just opened. Anyway, I'm sorry, Ben. This is just what happens to a good book. This is what happens to a good paperback book, you know. I will keep this and I will buy you a new one. So I wanted to read from a chapter that is about right in the middle, sort of at the turning point of the conflict before the climax of the book. And I don't think it's a spoiler, but it is pretty tasty, you know. But I think you can read it twice. If you haven't read the book and you get to this part, I think you'll appreciate it either way. So we find our main character, Gad, who is a wizard. He has unleashed some kind of thing, and this thing has haunted him, and he has been running from it, and he has encountered it a couple of times, and it's really kicked his ass. So he is fleeing from it one more time, and he finds himself on the island where he was brought up by his first wizard master, Ogyon, and we're going to see what Ogyon has to say about running away from things or not. So I can't even think. But let's no, I'm just really shook up. Oh my god, okay. Jesus. I'm sorry. 10 minutes later. She still didn't find the passage. Okay. Good. Thank you. Here, I found it. I don't know what's going on, but I found it. And we're gonna read together, and it's gonna be so good. Ged had taken hawk shape in fierce distress and rage, and when he flew from Oskill, there had been but one thought in his mind: to outfly both stone and shadow, to escape the cold, treacherous lands, to go home. The falcon's anger and wildness were like his own, and had become his own, and his will to fly had become the falcon's will. Thus he had passed over Enlad, stooping down to drink at a lonely forest pool, but on the wing again at once, driven by fear of the shadow that came behind him. So he had crossed the great sea called the Jaws of Enlad, and gone on, east by south, the hills of Orania, faint to his right, and the hills of Andrad, fainter to his left. And before him only the sea, until at last, ahead, there rose up out of the waves one unchanging wave, towering always higher, the white peak of Gaunt. In all the sunlight, and all the dark of that great flight, he had worn the falcon's wings, and looked through the falcon's eyes, and, forgetting his own thoughts, he had known at last only what the falcon knows: hunger, the wind, the way he flies. He flew to the right haven. There were few on Roke, and only one on Gaunt, who could have made him back into a man. He was savage and silent when he woke. Ogyan never spoke to him, but gave him meat and water and let him sit hunched by the fire, grim as a great, weary, sulking hawk. When night came, he slept. On the third morning, he came to the fireside where the mage sat, gazing at the flames, and said, "Master." "Welcome, lad," said Ogyan. "I have come back to you as I left. A fool," the young man said, his voice harsh and thickened. The mage smiled a little and motioned Ged to sit across the hearth from him, and set to brewing them some tea. Snow was falling, the first of the winter, here on the lower slopes of Gaunt. Ogyan's windows were shuttered fast, but they could hear the wet snow as it fell, soft on the roof, and the deep stillness of snow all about the house. A long time they sat there by the fire, and Ged told his old master the tale of the years since he had sailed from Gaunt aboard the ship called Shadow. Ogyan asked no questions, and when Ged was done, he kept silent for a long time, calm, pondering. Then he rose, and set out bread and cheese and wine on the table, and they ate together. When they had done, and they had set the room straight, Ogyan spoke. "Those are bitter scars you bear, lad," he said. "I have no strength against that thing," Ged answered. Ogyan shook his head, but said no more for a time. At length, "Strange," he said. "You had strength enough to outspell a sorcerer in his own domain, there in Oskel. You had strength enough to withstand the lures and fend off the attack of the servants of an old power of earth. And at Pendor you had strength enough to stand up to a dragon." "It was luck I had at Oskel, not strength," Ged replied, and he shivered again as he thought of the dreamlike, deathly cold of the court of the Terranon. "As for the dragon, I knew his name. The evil thing, the shadow that hunts me, has no name." "All things have a name," said Ogyan, so certainly that Ged dared not repeat what the Archmage Genscher had told him, that such evil forces as he had loosed were nameless. The dragon of Pendor, indeed, had offered to tell him the shadow's name, but he put little trust in the truth of that offer, nor did he believe in Suret's promise that the stone would tell him what he needed to know. "If the shadow has name," he said at last, "I do not think it will stop and tell it to me." "No," said Ogyan, "nor have you stopped and told it your name. And yet it knew. On the moors in Oskel it called you by your name, the name I gave you. It is strange, strange." He fell into brooding again. At last Ged said, "I came here for counsel, not for refuge, master. I will not bring this shadow upon you, and it will soon be here if I stay. Once you drove it from this very room. No, that was but foreboding. The shadow of a shadow. I could not drive it forth now, only you could do that. But I am powerless before it. Is there any place?" His voice died away before he had asked the question. "There is no safe place," Ogyan said gently. "Do not transform yourself again, Ged. The shadow seeks to destroy your true being. It nearly did so, driving you into a hawk's being. No, where you should go I do not know. Yet I have an idea of what you should do. It is a hard thing to say to you." Ged's silence demanded truth, and Ogyan said at last, "You must turn around. If you go ahead, if you keep running, wherever you run, you will meet danger and evil, for it drives you. It chooses the way you go. You must choose. You must seek what seeks you. You must hunt the hunter." Ged said nothing. "At the spring of the river Ar, I named you," the mage said. "A stream that falls from the mountain to the sea. A man would know the end he goes to, but he cannot know it if he does not turn, and return to his beginning, and hold that beginning in his being. If he would not be a stick whirled and whelmed in the stream, he must be the stream itself, all of it, from its spring to its sinking in the sea. You return to Gaunt, you return to me, Ged. Now turn clear round, and seek the very source, and that which lies before the source. There lies your hope of strength. There, master, Ged said with terror in his voice. Where? Ogian did not answer. If I turn, Ged said, after some time had gone by, if, as you say, I hunt the hunter, I think the hunt will not be long. All its desire is to meet me face to face, and twice it has done so, and twice defeated me. Third time is the charm, said Ogian. Ged, I would have lost it at that point, sorry. Ged paced the room up and down, from fireside to door, from door to fireside. And if it defeats me wholly, he said, arguing perhaps with Ogian, perhaps with himself, it will take my knowledge and my power and use them. It threatens only me now. But if it enters into me and possesses me, it will work great evil through me. That is true, if it defeats you. Yet, if I run again, it will surely find me, and all my strength is spent in the running. Ged paced on for a while, and then suddenly turned, and kneeling down before the mage said, I have walked with great wizards, and I have lived on the Isle of the Wise, but you are my true master, Ogian. He spoke with love, with a somber joy. Good, said Ogian. Now you know it. Better now than never, but you will be my master in the end. He got up and built up the fire to a good blaze and hung the kettle over it to boil, and then pulling on his sheepskin coat said, I must go look after my goats. Watch the kettle for me, lad. When he came back in, all snow-powdered and stamping snow from his goatskin boots, he carried a long, rough shaft of yew wood. All the end of the short afternoon, and again after their supper, he sat working by lamplight on the shaft with his knife and rubbing stone and spellcraft. Many times he had passed his hands along the wood, as if seeking any flaw. Often as he worked, he sang softly. Ged, still weary, listened, and he grew sleepy. He thought of himself a child in the witch's hut in Ten Alders village. On a snowy night in the firelit dark, the air heavy with herb scent and smoke, and his mind all adrift on dreams as he listened to the long, soft singing spells and deeds of heroes who fought against dark powers and won, or lost on a distant island long ago. There, said Ogian, and handed the finished staff to him. The Archmage gave you yew wood. Good choice, and I kept to it. I meant the shaft for a long bow, but it's better this way. Good night, my son. As Ged, who found no words to thank him, turned away to his alcove room, Ogian watched him and said, too soft for Ged to hear, O my young falcon, fly well. In the cold dawn when Ogian woke, Ged was gone. Only he had left in wizardly fashion a message of silver-scrawled runes on the hearthstone that faded even as Ogian read them. Master, I go hunting. So there you have it. Go hunting. Go get it. Don't let it get you. Close your doors. If your door's open at night, go hunting. I'm gonna go hunting. I'll see.